All right, let's talk about how to make deposits and avoid making withdrawals when you're working with a buyer or seller in order for your relationship bank account to be healthy. The first, when it comes to making deposits, is giving thoughtful gifts. So this can be personalized gifts. So tailor gifting in regards to golf balls if they're a golfer, or maybe it's a great book if they're a reader that is relatable to maybe a conversation you had. A memorable closing gift could be a framed picture of their home you sold or a customized doormat. The next is a milestone gift. So you can celebrate anniversaries, birthdays, or maybe it's a home purchase milestone with something that reminds them of maybe the good memories of their past home. Now, the second thing you can do to make a deposit is proactive communication. This is a big one. By keeping them informed throughout the transaction, that is a form of making deposits in the relationship. So providing frequent transaction updates especially when there's a negotiation happening, letting them know that there is no update is a form of making a deposit. Even after the sale, checking in with them to make sure that everything with the closing went well and any other updates that you had for them. Maybe it's a market update, letting them know what's going on in the market when their home is not selling. Great form of communication is always making deposits into the relationship, because when you don't do it well, it's definitely a withdrawal, and I'm going to be talking about that in a minute. The next is going above and beyond the service expectation. So streamlining their experience. This could look like previewing homes to save them time. Maybe during the negotiation, you do a really great job of the negotiation, but you explain everything you did for them. You go the extra mile when it comes to explaining. Maybe it's problem prevention. And so you anticipate issues, maybe a inspection potentially coming up, and calling your inspector and doing a pre-inspection prior to a multiple offer situation. So that's a form of making a deposit in the relationship. Or maybe it's fixing mistakes quickly and taking ownership. This is a really big deposit. I'll be talking a little bit more about that as well. And then personal touches along the way. So sending handwritten notes, congratulating them on maybe a big milestone they had. Maybe it's a personalized video text. This is something that works really well. If you just hold your phone up and just record a quick video and then you text it to them, it's a great way of making a deposit. Maybe it was after a showing, you did a quick recap and you do a quick video for them and send it off. Anything that you do behind the scenes and you tell them what you did is a form of making a deposit. And following up as well. So perhaps they ask you to do something and you follow up very quickly on that, and you go the extra mile as well, and you circle back, and that's a form of making a deposit. Another way of making a deposit is following up on some details that they told you. Maybe Johnny had a hockey tournament, right? And you can follow up with them and say, hey, listen, how did Johnny's tournament go? That you remember the details is a form of making a deposit. And then supporting them beyond the transaction. So this is something that even like a couple years later, you're still informing them of what's going on in their marketplace, that you're the go-to realtor. And then celebrating little milestones along the way with them as well. Another thing you can do is give them trusted vendor names. So reliable professionals such as mortgage brokers, stagers, insurance brokers. So letting them know of a great contact. Maybe it's a handyman that you have or a landscaper. By giving them that name proactively, say, hey, listen, there's a contact here, and I can actually have them give you a call if you'd like, so you don't have to call them. That is a form of making a deposit. Providing exclusive events or community connections as well as another way. So providing workshops for them. Maybe it's doing a first-time home buyer seminar that is for their kids, right? Maybe their kids are looking to buy a home, and you provide a first-time home buyer workshop. That's a form of making a deposit. You can make deposits on social media as well, engaging in their content, right? And making little comments along the way is a form of making a deposit. Connecting with them and staying in touch in regards to what's actually happening in their life is another form of making a deposit. And then celebrating the wins that they have along the way. Just remember, every deposit that you make is a form of currency that is building that relationship up so that you don't go bankrupt. Now, on the reverse side of this, on the flip side, how do you avoid making withdrawals that damage the relationship or pulls money out of that account, which then, lessens the relationship? And so just know that withdrawals weaken trust and the connection that you built up along the way. And one quick thing to remember is, in general, people remember endings more than the beginning. And so, or the middle, definitely the middle. So you want to make sure that the ending or the end of a transaction is very thick or very rich in the deposits that you make. A lot of agents don't make deposits near the end of the transaction, and the client only remembers the withdrawals, as in you didn't call them on closing day. And so withdrawals are really important to be able to monitor and to know when you are making a withdrawal, because all that hard work that you gave earlier in regards to making deposits could be worn down and basically put the relationship in bankruptcy. So the first one is poor communication and follow through. So they ask you to do something and you don't follow up, or you don't do what you told them you would do. So this breaks trust instantly, and it lessens that bank account. Failing to return phone calls, texts, emails, making them feel ignored, or perhaps not giving them an update. So not keeping them informed of what's happening. So a house pops up right across the street and you don't get a phone call. Like they don't get a phone call from you letting you know what's going on with that property. Over-promising and under-delivering. This erodes confidence and makes withdrawals. Disrespecting a client's time. So this could look like arriving late to meetings or showings. This shows that the relationship is not that important and is a withdrawal. Maybe it's canceling at the last minute with them without giving them a good reason, or making them feel like an afterthought, or worse off, forgetting about an appointment. That's a huge withdrawal. Maybe it's taking too long to respond back to a client, right? And so that's a withdrawal. The next is lack of professionalism and preparation. So not knowing key details about a property that you're showing, this undermines your role as an expert. Marketing their home incorrectly, perhaps spelling typos in the write-ups. Maybe it's the wrong price, or maybe it's just poor photos. This diminishes and lessens the relationship and takes withdrawals out. Showing homes that don't match their criteria, as in you're not listening to what they're saying, is important to them, and you keep on showing them homes that don't match what they truly want. Perhaps it's forgetting important names, right? So they forget their names, or they just forget details that they told them earlier on. That's why it's so important, as they're telling you, that you're writing notes along the way. This shows that what they're saying is really important. Maybe it's arguing with your client. This is definitely a withdrawal when you start arguing with them. And you want to make sure that you're acknowledging any concerns that they have and you're not dismissing any concerns. You want them to feel heard, right? And not argumentative in any way. Being defensive if they call you out on something and not taking ownership for something, this is a definite withdrawal. Or maybe you're blaming others. Maybe it was somebody else on your team, somebody in the brokerage or reception. You blame others. People don't really care. Your clients don't really care whose fault it was, as long as you fix it. And ultimately, anything that happens behind you, as in if they hire you to help buy a home, anything that happens during that transaction is your fault. And so it's really important that you, as an agent, that you take ownership for anything that happens behind you. So maybe a receptionist dropped the ball or they didn't answer the call. It's like, no problem, I'm going to get right on that. You follow up and fix it, and then get back to them on what you did to fix it. The next one is acting self-interested or being pushy or being me-focused when it comes to the salesperson. So pushing clients into decisions that aren't right for them. This will come across in a very negative light and will erode trust and make a withdrawal in the relationship. Maybe you're focusing too much on the commission check and they feel it. That's going to make a withdrawal. Or maybe it's rushing them into decisions where you know it's not the right decision for them just to get the sale. Maybe it's disappearing right after the close date. So you get the commission check and then you just never connect with them again. This erodes and makes huge withdrawals in that relationship. Maybe it's poor attitude or just being negative overall, complaining about other clients or agents, or maybe you're complaining about the market. This repels people. Okay, gossiping about past clients, it just never looks good on anybody. Or maybe it's appearing distracted during conversation. So you're in an appointment. The worst is being in a listing appointment and checking your phone and texting other people. This is a huge red flag and is a big withdrawal when it comes to the relationship. So the question is if you make a withdrawal, it's okay. I mean, we all make mistakes, right? But how do you fix it? And so the key here, this is how you can actually take a withdrawal and flip it into a deposit. And so the first thing to do is to acknowledge it. Acknowledge that you were off on that. And so clients respect honesty, and they respect when people take ownership because it's so rare. And so when you admit that you could have done it better, it's a humble thing to do, and people respect it. Now, the key is not just to say, I made a mistake. You got to take that next step is to resolve it quickly. If you fix issues fast, then it doesn't grow into a bigger withdrawal. And so not letting problems linger is really important. Handling them quickly is a sign of a top producer. And then once you handle them, then you can strategically make a deposit and go the extra mile to rebuild trust and to be able to build that bank account up even more. And so sometimes it's like even offering an apology, right? I was off on that. Moving forward, this is what I'm going to do, and this is how I fixed it. And so you want to make sure as well to learn from the experience so that you get better next time, so that moving forward, you're not going to repeat the same issue over and over and over. Okay? And so a withdrawal that's handled well can be flipped into a deposit. And so in summary, relationships function a lot like bank accounts. Every interaction is either a deposit where you're building trust or a withdrawal where you are eroding trust. Deposits strengthen loyalty and lead to a lot of referrals. So it's definitely a positive thing if you want to build your business for the long term. Agents who intentionally invest in relationships win in this business. Clients want to feel valued, understood, and guided. And they want an agent like you to be able to build more deposits into the relationship to help them win in the long term. So thanks for listening, guys. My mission for you is to become a full-out real estate agent, and together we can elevate the entire industry. If you like the show, go ahead, please share and subscribe to the channel. I love you guys, and keep on going full out.